Hi PPCers, Phil Taylor here, PPC Strategist, your source for Google Ads news and tips. Now, over the last couple of months, there have been a few interesting updates in Google Ads, and happily, after a bit of a barrage of bad news over the last year or so with culled features and reduced visibility and options in various ways, these are mostly useful new additions. So if you missed any of them or could do with a recap, watch on because I'll run through 4 of the most useful ones now. First, image extensions, which are becoming a lot more valuable as they are now appearing on desktop. Previously, they were on mobile only. Now, when this announcement was made, the timeline given was in the next few weeks. No precise date given, but by the time you watch this, it will very likely be mostly or fully rolled out. If you have image extensions in place, then this change will happen automatically, and it applies to dynamic image extensions as well. This is a pretty big one because image extensions have generally moved the needle when appearing on mobile, at least in terms of CTR. And it may be that there's even more of a surprise factor when seeing an image appear next to the ad on desktop. Though it is maybe interesting to consider how much less of a big deal this is than it would have been, say, 10 years ago, when mobile traffic was still the supporting act to desktop traffic. Now it's more the other way around. The other big change with image extensions is that Google is now providing a bank of stock images that you can access through the interface and apply directly as image extensions. This is definitely already appearing. I have used it in practice. And it's a feature that probably makes image extensions a more obvious choice for use across a range of different markets, whereas initially it seemed best suited to retail. I'll link to Google's announcement on this with all the detail in the description. Now, staying with ad extensions, the next one is the general ad extensions upgrade. The timeline for this is that it will be completely rolled out by the 15th of February 2022. Now, the major change here is that it's going to be possible to pause and resume ad extensions. Now, this is useful, but it seems to require a complete overhaul, such that there are going to be the new upgraded extensions, as Google's calling them, and the legacy extensions before this change. And data across the two won't be visible in a unified report before and after the point of that change, at least not within the main reports in the interface. And with this overhaul, a few options around extensions are being removed, mainly around the scheduling options for some of the second tier sort of ad extensions. This should be a minor cost for most of us, but worth being aware of what you won't be able to do as of the 15th of February 2022. This isn't available universally yet, but quite a nice change is coming to campaign experiments. In the new workflow, there won't be the draft experiment stage. So it won't be necessary to create a duplicate of your campaign and make the experimental changes to that duplicate before you run a test. Instead, you'll choose which campaign you want to experiment with, choose the changes that you want to test, and just start running. This is mainly a UI improvement, really, because it was slightly pointless having draft campaigns as a separate entity and also a separate section in the interface for draft campaigns and experiments. It was a bit clunky and a little bit confusing. We're also getting the useful ability to sync changes made to a campaign during an experiment, i.e. sync changes between the original version and the experiment version of the campaign. This is really handy because previously you either had to forego making any optimizations to a campaign while an experiment was running, or you had to make sure you made the exact same changes to the original and the experiment version, but you had to do those separately. No announcement that I've seen from Google on this as yet at the time of recording, but Search Engine Journal has made this useful write-up with as much detail as is available, and I'll link to that in the description. Now, this is a really nice update to custom columns, which are gaining some new features, both with an expansion of the base metrics available and the functions available in calculating the output metric. As set out in Search Engine Journal here, these include the use of spreadsheet functions, the use of date ranges in the metric filters, access to non-metric columns, i.e. dimensions, reference to other custom columns to calculate a new one, and all of the impression share metrics now, which is a big one. Custom columns were already a great feature and an underused one. I'll link in the description to a blog post in which I suggest 7 useful custom columns, and they are all still useful. But with this update, the range of possibilities for custom columns is going to be much, much wider. Alright, that's it for now. If you want to stay up to date with more like this, then subscribe to the channel, join my free Facebook group, download one of my free guides, check out my courses, lots of options for you, which I will, of course, link below. But for now, this is Phil Taylor, PPC Strategist. Until next time.